Let's talk about a story. It's the story of a character named Kat Hernandez from the television show Euphoria, but it's also the story of countless real people whose experiences she represents. Kat's journey is one of seeking power and confidence through her sexuality, only to find herself lost in a strange and silent emptiness. Her story gives us a name and a face for something deeply personal and often misunderstood: dissociation during sex. This isn't about a simple lack of interest or a bad mood. It's about a profound mind-body disconnect, a survival mechanism that kicks in when the world, or intimacy, becomes too much to bear. To understand Kat, we have to start with her search for identity. In a world that often values girls for their looks and their desirability, Kat begins to explore her sexuality online. She discovers a hidden power in it. She writes explicit fan fiction where she is in control, and she secretly becomes a cam girl, commanding attention and money from anonymous men. In these digital spaces, she is the author, the director, the star. She feels powerful, confident, and in charge of her own narrative for the first time. This online persona becomes a suit of armor, a way to feel strong in a life where she often feels insecure and overlooked. But this armor is fragile. When she tries to bring this empowered identity into her real-world relationships, it shatters. Her sexual experiences with boys her age are awkward, unsatisfying, and far from the fantasy she controls online. The boy she is with is often more concerned with his own performance than with her. There is no connection, no intimacy, just a clumsy physical act. This is where the split begins. The Kat who sought power through sexuality finds none in the actual experience. Instead of feeling present, she starts to feel absent. This is dissociation. Think of it not as daydreaming, but as the mind's emergency escape hatch. When a situation feels overwhelming, threatening, or just unbearably empty, the mind can protect itself by checking out. It detaches from the body, from the immediate surroundings, from the feelings that are too painful or confusing to feel. For Kat, during sex, we see this happen. Her body is there, but her mind is somewhere else entirely. She might be staring at the ceiling, her eyes glazed over. She is physically present, but mentally, she is in another room, another story, another version of herself. She is floating above the scene, watching it happen to someone else, a stranger who looks like her. This disconnect is a desperate form of self-protection. Why does she need protection during an act that is supposed to be intimate or pleasurable? For Kat, it's because the reality is a painful contradiction. She entered this realm seeking control, but in these real encounters, she feels a complete loss of control. She feels used, even if she consented. She feels invisible because her partner is not seeing her, only the idea of her. The experience triggers deep-seated feelings of shame, insecurity, and worthlessness that her online persona was meant to cover up. Since she cannot physically escape the situation, her mind does the escaping for her. It's not a choice, it's an automatic response, a relic of our brain's ancient wiring to survive trauma. The tragedy of Kat's dissociation is its silence. From the outside, nothing might seem terribly wrong. She's not crying or pushing her partner away. She is quiet, still, compliant. This can be dangerously misleading. A partner might mistake this silence for contentment or passivity. Society's twisted narratives can even frame this as good or easy behavior. But inside, there is a storm of nothingness, a hollow, numb void where feelings and sensations should be. This internal silence is deafening. It cuts her off from her own body's signals, her own pleasure, her own sense of self. She becomes a ghost in her own skin. This has devastating consequences. First, it reinforces her deepest fears. Every dissociative episode confirms that she is not worthy of real connection, that her body is separate from herself, that intimacy is synonymous with emptiness. It creates a terrible cycle. She might seek out more sexual encounters, trying to recapture that feeling of control or validation she got online. But each real encounter only leads to more dissociation, more numbness, more self-loathing. Her sexual life becomes not a source of joy or connection, but a theater where she performs for an audience she cannot see, while the real Kat is locked away, observing from a distance. Furthermore, this split affects everything. If you cannot be present in your own body during its most vulnerable moments, how can you be fully present anywhere? It spills into her everyday life, making her feel disconnected from friends, from school, from her own emotions. The armor she built becomes a prison. Kat's story is crucial because it shines a light on a reality for many, many people, often women and survivors of trauma. It shows that dissociation isn't always about a dramatic, singular traumatic event. It can be the result of a million smaller cuts: societal pressure, feeling objectified, engaging in sex from a place of insecurity rather than genuine desire, repeated experiences where your feelings are an afterthought. It's the body's way of saying, "This is not safe for me," even when logic says it should be. The path back from this disconnect is difficult, and Euphoria shows glimpses of it. It begins with recognition. For Kat, it starts in moments of quiet desperation, staring at herself in the mirror, feeling utterly lost. Healing requires stopping the performance. It means stepping away from situations that trigger the numbness, which is an incredibly brave act of self-preservation. It involves learning to listen to the body's whispers, the discomfort, the tension, the lack of enthusiasm, before it has to scream by checking out entirely. True healing involves rebuilding the mind-body connection from the ground up. This can mean therapy, particularly modalities that address trauma stored in the body. It means exploring touch and intimacy in non-sexual, pressure-free ways to relearn safety. It means cultivating a relationship with one's own body based on kindness, not on its value to others, whether that's through simple acts like a warm bath, a walk, or just breathing and feeling where you are in space. It is the slow, patient work of teaching the mind that the body is a home, not a battlefield or a stage. For anyone watching Kat's story and seeing their own reflection, her journey offers a vital lesson. Dissociation during sex is not a personal failure. It is not being broken or frigid. It is a signal, a profound communication from your deepest self that something is wrong. It is a sign that the conditions for true, safe, connected intimacy are not being met, whether by the partner, the situation, or the internal pressures you carry. Kat Hernandez's story moves us beyond simplistic ideas about sex and young adulthood. It tells us that the most important sexual organ is the brain, and when the brain feels threatened or disregarded, it can shut down the entire experience to survive. Her numbness is a loud cry in a silent language. By giving this experience a name and a face, we can begin to understand it, to talk about it with compassion, and to recognize that real intimacy isn't just about bodies being together. It is about minds and hearts being present, safe, and truly connected. And that is a connection worth fighting for, first within ourselves,